So we're sitting here in early 2026, and tariffs have been making the headlines for almost 12 months now. How does this moment in time compare to other times when trade policy was front and center in the economic discourse?
Great question. I think the events of today are momentous and they compare to many episodes in history. Perhaps the closest parallel is the Smoot-Hawley tariffs of the 1930s, where again there was a huge debate about those tariffs. The act was passed by Congress, but famously 100 economists signed a letter lobbying against the tariffs. And today, the change in tariffs that's occurred in recent times is around the same scale as the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. And so the kind of intensity of the debate today is, I think, parallel to that during the 1930s.
Right, we talk about weather events like every 10-year event or an every 100-year event, and with tariffs we're having a sort of every century type event in the scale and the scope of tariff policy.
And I think also just not only in terms of the periodicity, but also in terms of sort of rethinking and stepping back. In the period after the Second World War, we had this ongoing process of globalization driven by falling trade barriers, trade policy barriers, improvements in technology. And then now we're at a standpoint where that process is starting to unravel a little bit and people are rethinking, and that's partly the result of rising distributional concerns within countries about the effect of globalization and also heightening geopolitical tensions. And so I think it's sort of a key moment in time thinking about these really big economic and political economy questions.
And so no better time in the last century to be a trade economist than today.
Absolutely. That's what makes me so excited about the research I do every morning when I wake up. And I think it's a time where economists have a great opportunity to reshape that debate, to kind of bring the insights from economics to bear, to better inform the political debate. And so political actors can then be better informed by the underlying economics.
These policies can be sticky sort of for political economy reasons. And does that lead you to think that even if the full extent of the current round of tariffs don't stick, that we are entering a new regime now with higher and sort of a broader set of products covered by tariffs moving forward?
I think so, yes, for two reasons. Firstly, for the reason you mentioned, that tariffs are sticky for political economy reasons. But then secondly, I think we're moving into a new era where there are rising geopolitical tensions. Those tensions raise the question as to how reliant you may want to be on sort of key suppliers for, say, advanced semiconductors. We're also at a stage where artificial intelligence is clearly a key technology in the future. And so I think many policymakers, not just here in the United States, but around the world, are sort of thinking, what is the best position to be on the trade-off between the benefits from specialization and economic trade versus the concerns about national security and resilience. So I think both for a stickiness reason and for these broader geopolitical tensions, I think we're in a world where some form of trade policy or industrial policy is going to be around for a while.
I completely agree that we're moving into a new regime on geopolitical concerns and that a new set of policies are required to reduce our vulnerability and to build up critical industries.